So we have a lot of people coming to this recreational center in Rowlett to vote. I mean, for any of you people that give a damn, please go vote. Please go vote. Your local vote is so important. It's more important than the presidential vote. It is. This is what affects you, your neighborhood, your environment, your community a whole lot quicker than the presidential vote. And this is the way, the federal government wants it. The federal government doesn't want to monitor your life, when, you all should be in control of your life at the local level. See, but a lot of y'all don't even care about the local voting. Now, here's another thing. Voting at this level also qualifies you to count in the presidential election. Yes. You have to vote locally first in order for your vote to truly count at the presidential level. Unless they change that. Now, if they've changed that, then I don't know what to say about it. But I doubt if they changed it. I'm gonna stop off down here because I ran out of soy milk. And there is an Aldi's down here where I can get soy milk, I believe, for like $2. And then, yeah. I just ran out. I don't know. I might not even stop off. Because I just ran out. I do add soy milk into my coffee. But God only knows how these stores even stay afloat. God only knows. So it looks like, a lot of these apartments that they're building nowadays, they want to have businesses on the bottom and then residents on the top. That's kind of like what I'm seeing in this new construction everywhere. Right? Because I can't even imagine somebody wanting to have a whole storefront window, as a part of their living room. So it's definitely, a new type of building that, I think they brought from other parts of the country. Because in other parts of the country, when they built their buildings, there was so much population there that, it was convenient to be able to go downstairs, and shop. Right? And that was cool in those type of environments where, they weren't monopolized by, places like Walmart and Aldi's. Who would have knew that Aldi's was global? Aldi's is global. Walmart is global. Yeah, so Rowlett is voting for school propositions, Now, granted, Rowlett is growing. They have a lot more development in Rowlett. They've built a lot of bigger homes. Not a lot of apartments, but some apartments, but it's mostly homes, and so hopefully, when they make these proposals, that they make these proposals based off of, location, and square footage and acreage. All right. Hopefully, that they'll, tax people in that respect, because you're talking about maybe, I don't know what the Proposition A is for, the Garland Independent School District, but Rowlett's needs are not the same as like Garland's needs are. I don't even think Rowlett doesn't even pay for a DART or a transit system except for the train. Okay? Except for the train. They don't have a bus line at all in Rowlett. I don't think they have a bus line in Forney either. So, now, Mesquite doesn't have a bus line either, except they do have, like, a commuter bus for the city of Mesquite. Right? And mostly these areas also have where senior citizens can, get transportation through, like, reserving transportation. They can call up and ask for senior transportation. And definitely the schools, they need, transportation. But, they have like a requirement where if it's within a mile, they're not going to stop and pick up the children, which is something that I think is stupid, because they should have stops to pick up the children, because we have incremental weather here. They have incremental weather everywhere. Right? And for them to wrap it around in their heads to say, well, if they're within a mile, they can walk. Right? How are they going to walk when they haven't even developed sidewalks for these people? The road that I'm on, it's a popular road and it has no sidewalks. But you want the kids to walk. You know, the outdated thinking of some of these people and the closed-mindedness of these people, right? Now, typically, like, if every day was like today, the weather is, moderate, right? As long as it don't get no higher than 75 degrees, no lower than 70 degrees, no rain. If it rains, let it rain at nighttime when you're at home and sleep. What the hell? The world just don't function like that. Like I said, y'all don't know when I'm being sarcastic. Big, beautiful white birds. I keep wondering, can we eat those birds? I want to know, can we eat them big ass white birds? Huh, Snoopy? Put them jokers in the pressure cooker and tenderize them. So, yeah. Today I'm gonna cook some country pork spare ribs. Country style pork spare ribs today. Trying to decide, should I pressure cook them or should I bake them? I haven't tried pressure cooking like a meat dish yet. Most of the pressure cooking of the meat that I've done, they've all been added into like soup. But I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna saute, which is like searing. I'm gonna sear the ribs. I'm gonna sear them so that they're crispy on the outside. Then I'm gonna pressure cook them for like about 5 minutes, and then see how it turns out. Right? If they're gonna be like delicious. I think they will, because that's what my mind is telling me. My mind is telling me, you cook it like that, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be tender, and it's only gonna take you like 10-15 minutes. So that's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. Dogs, they're relaxing now. They like the little walk. And oh my goodness, Gracie was just jumping up in the air and just having a good time. She got a little socialized, a couple girls that was out there, and they were like, oh, okay, look at the puppy. And I was like, oh, you want to touch her? You want to pet her? That'll help her get socialized, And they were like, well, sure. They were like, they always wanted a dog like her, and I told her, it's a lot of responsibility, in my indirect way, saying, yeah, my daughter gave it to me, the owners, they had a whole litter, and, it cost a lot to get vaccinated, all of the puppies, and, in Dallas, they be fining them for not picking up after them, and, and they're forcing them to want. And that's all we be thinking. We want. We don't be thinking about the barking, right? Fortunately, my dogs, they don't bark a lot. And they can already sense I don't like barking. It's okay to bark. If you're trying to warn somebody, you could bark. But I don't like barking that much at all. That loud noise be bothering me. So they bark sometimes. And a lot of times they can tell that once they start barking too much, they get my attention. And Snoopy knows me well enough to know that this kind of attention is negative attention. Oh, baby. My bitties. So yeah, we got some chemtrails in the sky. Yep. I guess the aliens, they couldn't handle the heat. It's only 76 degrees, but they're like, no, this is too hot, Let's put some chemtrails in the sky and let's freeze this heat on out. So yeah, they want it cooler tomorrow. Or tonight. Or both. These are our social engineers that think that they're tapped in to know what God wants the people to do. Yeah, that's what they think. What ends up happening is they end up causing harm to people who don't have the necessities to stay warm because it's not supposed to get freezing cold until winter time. But they can't wait. This got to be some motherfucking Russians or Germans, that, really need to go back to their country. It's like, how in the hell do you want snow over here when all you need to do is just go back home for the winter time up there, and then you can get all the snow and freezing shit weather that you want without having to change this environment over here. Because this environment over here has a specific design, okay? It's specifically supposed to have the seasons. Right? We're not like Russia, where you guys only have like spring and summer for 3 months out of the year. God only knows. God only knows. That y'all are over here finagling your way so that you can buy the food and send it back to your motherland. And make big profits. Because they can't grow no food over there. crop can you actually grow that you can harvest within three to 4 months? I want to know. I want to know. Tell me. So yeah, like I said, I have to, take myself through physical therapy of, doing the lightweight exercises, taking a walk for mental therapy, and now, well, I ride. Riding, taking a ride for me is like mental therapy. Okay? It really is. When I can take a ride, it's mental therapy to me. Because my mind gets the stimulation that it needs. Right? That's why a lot of times I do spend a lot of time, watching something, because it gives me that mental stimulation that I like. I like it. I'll be needing it. So yeah, oh my goodness. I don't know why she's sitting up here looking at me. I guess I should have moved out of her way, because she riding around in an old King Wrench. Them jokers brand new used to be about $100,000. A King Ranch truck. I don't know what they are now. But I bet you the maintenance is still high. And oh my gosh, one of those tires has got to be about $300. And God knows you better not need a rim. That's a $500 tire there with the rim. For sure. For sure. So then when I'm sitting up here assessing all of that, then my mind starts to say, okay, how are you affording the maintenance, right? And King Ranch, they don't fit in the normal garage. You need a custom garage, or you got to park that vehicle outside. Okay? Then like I said, then my mind is, okay, are you putting your vehicle in your garage? Do you have a custom garage? Or are you parking it at a diagonal? I want to know. I want to know what kind of job you do. I want to know, right? Because I get nosy like that. I really do. I get nosy. I'm like, okay, what you do? What you do? What kind of work you do? Right? Because nowadays, we just about know what jobs pay what. We just about know not everybody out here is a successful entrepreneur. Okay, we know this. You can tell us you're a successful entrepreneur, but if you ain't out here passing out cards, letting us know. Don't tell me she running over here. Oh, she probably going over there to get her some on the border. She was in a hurry to get to on the border. Because it's Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday? So you can kind of see, the difference between those people who are conservatives and those people who are frugal and those people who are wasteful and reckless. Okay? So now more than ever, we can see this. We can see this in people's behavior. We can see this in people's purchases. We can see this, right? But the one thing that a lot of people refuse to accept, that, if you're willing to cheat, you're willing to lie. And if you're willing to lie, then you're probably willing to also kill at some point. At some point, you're willing to kill in order to keep your secrets of lying and cheating undercover. And that's why we see majority of people who are out here killing, they're trying to keep whatever they did wrong a secret. Why? Because they don't want to be caught. They don't want to suffer the consequences. And even if they don't kill somebody, just the mere fact that, that they would intimidate somebody or threaten somebody, you're killing somebody else's dreams. So you're still a killer. You're a killer of somebody else's dreams and their free will. So, if that was news to you, then I'm sorry for your short-sightedness. Okay? But, maybe God will grace you with, insight and an open mind. And don't let anybody tell you, well, this is just the way that it is. Even when you know in your gut, you're like, I don't want to do this. This is just wrong. You're going to have to learn what it means to walk away. You're just going to have to learn. If you don't learn, you're going to learn one way or another. And those people that you thought was going to save you, they're not going to save you. They're not. Even if you said, but you told me, they're gonna forget they ever told you anything. They're gonna gaslight you so hard. You're gonna think they gave it to you with no Vaseline in the end. So, yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, it's hard. It's really hard sometimes. You can get into like a clique or a group and stuff, and everything seems to be all fun, and we're having a good time. And then all of a sudden, somebody says something, and it makes the room. It makes a pause for a quick moment. It's like a hot second, right? It's a hot second. Everybody's like, "What?" Most people won't show this pause, right? But there are people out there like myself. I would show the pause. I would dissect the pause. And I might have questions. I might even question, what did you just say? What did you just do? And a lot of people would try to brush that stuff underneath the sweep that dirt underneath the rug, talking about, just forget about it. Let's just have a good time. Like, what? No. You mean to tell me we can't have a good time and by dissecting what you just said? Woo, then why'd you say it? But that's why a lot of people thought I was a party pooper, too serious. The alphabet community, they was like, this is the new sheriff. Like, what the hell? I couldn't believe the whole narrative of the alphabet community having their own dialogue, their own interpretation, their own, like language. And I'm like, who? And then you look closer, not only do they have their own language, but they also have their own sense of value. And I'm like, okay, so you have your own sense of value, you have your own language, you have, your own culture, what the fuck is this? And then you're a protected class. You're a protected class in our society. You're the one out here making weird, make it seem like being weird is inventive. That was the first thing that we used to call the alphabet community. We used to say they were weird. Then we started calling them fags. Then we started calling them gay. Right? Now we got a whole technical word for them, which is trans. Like, trans what? And it don't matter what they're trans in. At this point, they're like, no, if they're part of the trans, it don't matter. They could be a transvestite and that's the same as a transgender. It's like, what? So, I've been watching this lady, I like her. She says she's a fully transgender woman that used to be a man. Okay? I can't, prove that that's the case, but that's what she says. I like her, I probably would even like her if she had still been a he, right? But because she might be under the impression that I like her because he's a she, and that's not the case. All right. Chip Ahoy Frappe. Huh. Anyway, so when Trump came into office, she was saying that she was afraid for her life. Oh, shit. Oh, damn. Excuse me. We're going to have to cut that one off.